5 years ago with the aim and the intention of motivating and influencing more people into developing a reading culture in their lives. If your mind is not growing, once your mind stops growing, then even your life, your business, your ministry, your prayer life, your spiritual life, it stops growing. There is someone that says that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book. Hello, good afternoon, wonderful people. I bring much love from me to you this afternoon. My name is Florence Favor of Favor Global Ministries, and today I'm coming to you with a special broadcast. Apart from being a preacher, a minister of the gospel, and a preacher, a gospel artist, I'm also an author. I write books, and I love reading books. And today I want to talk to us about reading. And Favor Book Club, I started it 5 years ago with the aim and in the intention of motivating and influencing more people into developing a reading culture in their lives. Because I know there is a wealth in books. There is a lot of wealth in books. I have read and I have seen people who have read and I've seen their lives change and transform. And so with Favor Book Club, it is my hope and my desire that somebody will be impacted and motivated to read more and more for the glory and honor of the Most High God. There is someone that says that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book. Well, I'm here to start a revolution, and I'm really hoping that you join me, that we will begin to declare and to say that we are Africans and we read. Personally, I'm saying I'm an African and I read. If you go to the Twitter, my Twitter account, you will see there the tweets I've been sending about being Africans and reading, because we are Africans and we read. Forget about that person that said Africans don't read. I know that we read. So let's begin this revolution and impact a lot of people. Well, like I said, I'm an author, and this is my first book that I wrote and published. It's called Save Me From Myself. It's the first book that I wrote. It's very informative, very good. Today, I may not be able to do an expose on it, but on the next broadcast, I shall be doing that. This is another book that I wrote, my second book. It's called As I See My Father Do, I Do Also. It's very informative, very inspirational, very impacting, and I know your life shall be changed and transformed for the glory and the honor of your name. If you'll be kind enough to go to our Facebook page, Favor Book Club, the Facebook page for Favor Book Club, go there, you will find a list of all our available books. You can peruse the list and get a book in your interest, a book that will interest you. You can order for it, either to buy it or to rent it. Actually, Favor Book Club, I started it with the intention of majorly helping people get access to books. Books you've been wanting to read and you don't know where to get them. Just send us a text. Just leave your comment there. Tell us which book you want. We will look it for you. We will look for it and we will send it to you, or you can come pick it up for yourself. Another aspect of it is that there are already books available in the library, in our library at Favor Book Club, that you can get at a fee. You can hire at a fee. You can rent at a fee at a stipulated time and then return it later. You remember those days when we used to hire movies, movies in a movie shop. We used to hire movies, you go watch and then you return. It's the same concept. You get to hire a book. because you may not really be able to buy books as much. For example, if a book that costs 1,500 shillings, you may not be able to buy 3 books, each costing 1,500 shillings. But you know what? You can be able to rent that book at a cost of as low as 200 or 250 shillings, depending on the size of the book. If it's a small book, it's 200 shillings. If it's a big book, it's 200 or 300 shillings. And then you'll be able to read more and more books. You will get to have access to more and more books. So follow us on Twitter and get to tweeting yourself that I'm an African and I read. I'm an African and I read. That's the revolution I want us to start and to keep going. That we will constantly declare I'm an African and I read until our voice is heard. Until we denote that statement that was said that Africans don't read, because I know we read. Well, you know, the Bible also tells us that buy truth, Proverbs 23 verse 23, buy truth and sell it not, also wisdom and instruction and understanding. Proverbs 23:23 says, buy truth and sell it not, also wisdom and instruction and understanding. So wisdom and knowledge and instruction is bought. It's not free. It's not free of charge. Like my books, they are not for free. They go at a cost, you know. You can either buy or rent one at a stipulated amount of time. But I want to say this, that my reading culture, it didn't just begin one day and evolve in one day and, you know, blossom in one day. Actually, I owe it to my mother. You know, my mother, may her soul rest in peace. My mother was the one who developed this reading culture in me. And surprisingly enough, she was not a very educated woman. You know, she didn't have a college degree or something, but she valued education. And one thing she instilled in my elder brother and I was about reading. You know, initially I didn't get it. I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand why. But today I appreciate and honor her so much for developing that reading culture in me. I remember when I was about 9 years old, and my father wanted to buy a television for us, you know, a TV set. And my mother adamantly refused. She said, no, you are not going to buy a TV in this house. These children need to concentrate on their education and to read more. And we hated her with my brother. Tulimchukia. But you know what? I believe she knew what she was doing. And she was looking more into our future and our, you know, how our lives would be in the future. And every time in the evening when other children were watching television or they were going to the neighbor's house to watch television, she would refuse for us to go. She would tell us, take a book, sit down and read. You know, in the afternoon we wanted to go out and play. She would say, no, you already played enough, take a book and read. And my father also, in a way, he contributed to it. My father was the kind of person that would come home in the evening with a newspaper in his hand. And he would encourage us to read the newspaper and get to know the goings on in the country and the affairs of everything. And so slowly by slowly it became like a culture in our house. Every time Dad would enter the house in the evening carrying the newspaper, my brother and I and my mother each would take their section and we will read and interchange. By the end of the evening, you will have read the whole newspaper. And so slowly by slowly, I began to gain interest in reading. Not only that, my mother was the kind of woman, she never entertained us to eat snacks, a lot of snacks, or goodies, especially sweets, or anything sugary. And I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it back then. I didn't like it. Anytime my father would bring us some snacks, some sweet good things to nibble on, my mother would protest and say, no, these children don't need to be eating these things. Why didn't you just buy them a storybook that they can read? You know, I didn't get it, you know. When the other children, our cousins, were busy enjoying sweets and biscuits and goodies bought by their mothers or their fathers when they came home. My mother did not want that. She would tell my father, buy them storybooks. You know, if they eat the sweet today and then still have to eat food, of what benefit or what use is it to them? It is better if you just buy them storybooks and they read. And true enough, our house was full of storybooks. And slowly by slowly, I began enjoying reading. I began enjoying reading more and more and more. Now, the reading that I'm talking about, it was the kind of reading that not only from the storybooks, but once in a while you get a magazine and you read something that enlightens you, that opens up your mind to the outside cultures, other societies, and what is going on in the world. And so slowly by slowly, my mind began to open up. And this is the kind of thing I want to encourage us to do. Parents with your children, encourage them to read and tell them the importance of reading. Not just forcing them to read, you know, the school books and everything, but even other materials, children books, story books, other educational materials, so that the knowledge of these children will begin to be broadened. You broaden their thinking, you're able to broaden their understanding, you broaden their capacity of reasoning, their reasoning capacity, it begins to get to broaden. And so I owe this to my mother. Probably she didn't know, or she didn't think one day I would be an author. But I know she was doing it for my good. She wanted me to develop my mind and enlarge my capacity. And today I owe it to her and the God of her life that helped her to shape me and to raise me that way. At Favor Book Club, like I have said, our culture is about influencing and motivating more people to read. If you can't be able to buy a book for yourself and read, there are books available. Just visit the Favor Book Club Facebook page. There is a list there available. There are even snaps, you know, cover photos there of the books available. You can peruse there and check on one or order one, and then we shall see how it goes from there. Now, follow us also on Twitter and Instagram. On Twitter, like I have said, we are beginning a revolution, telling people we are Africans and we read. We are Africans and we read. After this, I will be tweeting shortly about the book I'm reading. This is what I want us to do. Go to the Twitter handle, I'm an African and I read. Post your name, leave your comment with your name and the book you're currently reading. But don't forget to tweet that I'm an African and I read, because that is the revolution I want us to begin. I don't think that that Africans are so foolish or so stupid, like, you know, they used to think. They used to call us monkeys, black monkeys and everything. I'm also an African, by the way. Don't be cheated by my skin color. I'm very much African. And I'm African and I read. I'm an African and I read. As I tweet about the book I'm reading, tweet back also. The Twitter handle is I'm an African and I read. Leave your name there. Tell us your name. For example, I'll be tweeting, I'm Florence Favor, and this is the book I'm currently reading. Exactly like that. As we begin this revolution, and I know our lives shall change for the better. Invite your friends to join us. Encourage them to like the Facebook page and to tweet also about the book they are reading. Now, I want us to look at the quote of the week. Quote of the week. The quote of the week today, it says that it is bad to grow old before your time. It is bad to grow old before your time. It is worse to not grow at all within your mind. It is bad to grow old before your time. It is worse to not grow at all within your mind. You know, I always say this, that your life gravitates towards your most dominant thoughts. Okay? Your life gravitates towards the area of your most dominant thoughts. So if you are not growing in the area of your mind, if you are not growing in the capacity of your mind, chances are your life also will not grow, and you will not even be able to grow anybody. You will not be able to grow anybody. And understand this, that the world or the future belongs to the learning, not the learned. The world belongs to the learning. For example, I'm coming to you from the office, and you are able to watch me on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, or on your smart TV. Do you know what? 10 years ago, or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, this was not possible. It would not have been possible. If someone had been content with the way things were back then what we are doing today will not be possible. But because somebody did not stay at that level of contentment of how things were 20 years ago, 15 years ago, they began to grow in the capacity of their mind. They began to look at the electronic gadgets, and they began to think of how they can grow and make it better. If that someone who invented Facebook, if that someone who invented Instagram did not grow in the capacity of their mind, what we are enjoying today will not be possible. So what am I saying? It is worse. It is bad. It is bad to grow old before your time. But it is even worse if you do not grow within your mind. If your mind is not growing, once your mind stops growing, then even your life, your business, your ministry, your prayer life, your spiritual life, it stops growing. The mind is like a muscle. Have you ever seen these people that go to the gym, especially men? They go to the gym to build muscles, the six packs and everything. The more they exercise, the more the muscles grow and they build and they become bigger. It is the same case with our mind. Our mind is a muscle. The more we exercise it, the more we use it, the more it grows and the more stronger it becomes. You understand that? Our mind is also like a muscle. The more we use it, the more we exercise it, the more it grows and the stronger it becomes. It is said that even the genius, the geniuses of the world that we know, they only use about 5% of the capacity of their brain. Can you believe that? The geniuses in the world we know, it is said they only use about 5% of the capacity of their brain. Now, I don't know whether you are a genius or in which category you are, but I began to ask myself, if the geniuses are only using 5% of the capacity of their brain, how much am I using? You will realize there is so much untapped potential in the mind, and the mind is the biggest asset that God gave us. What does the Bible say? As a man thinketh, so is he. Today I don't want to preach so much, but I want this, that I want us to take seriously the reading culture. Our reading culture, we take it seriously, and it begins at a personal level. It begins with me and it begins with you. Take a decision today. If you've been reading one book, you can read 2. You can begin to read 2. You've been reading 2, you can read 3 or 4 in a month. If you are the kind that picks up a book and you feel like sleeping, or you pick up a book and you realize 30 minutes later you are still stuck on the same page. The mind is like a muscle. The more you continue to exercise it, the more you continue to use it, the stronger it becomes. And so I want to encourage us. If you're the kind of person that has never finished reading a book, I've realized that reading a book to the end, it builds character. It builds character and it structures discipline. It makes you a disciplined person. For example, like I've said, if you go to the Favor Book Club Facebook page, you will find a list of all the available books that you can buy or rent at a fee. Now, when you rent that book, it is only for a stipulated amount of time. For example, a month. If you have not finished reading that book by the end of the stipulated time, number one, you will have to return that book before you finish reading, or if you require more time with the book, it means it will cost you even more money because you will have to rent it again. Number two, if you fail to finish that book and you had already paid for it, it will pain you. So, reading a book to the end, it builds character and discipline in you. It disciplines you in a way that any project you undertake to do, you are careful to carry it through to the end. Procrastination will end. I'm telling you the truth. Procrastination in your life will end once you start developing a reading culture in your life. And I know there are people who say they are so busy they don't have time. God has given us 24 hours in a day. In a day, you can set aside, you can begin with 30 minutes. If you are just a beginner beginning to read books, you can set aside 30 minutes or an hour to read and make it a daily ritual. Make it a daily ritual. Make it a daily ritual. Do it until it becomes comfortable and easy enough for you to do. Well, I don't want to add so much on that. We shall be talking more in our next broadcast. But remember this, our Facebook page is Favor Book Club. Like it. Encourage more people to like it. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. On Twitter, the handle is I'm an African and I read. I will be tweeting there about the book I'm reading and for how long I've been reading it. And I encourage you to do the same also. If there's a book you're reading, tweet there. Leave your name. Tell us which book you're reading. Let us begin this revolution and take it to the next level, because we are Africans and we read. I am Florence Favor. I'm an African and I read. Let us join this revolution, saying I'm an African and I read. And I know we are capable of doing amazing things. Until next time, thank you for joining us. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Shalom. I started it 5 years ago with the aim and the intention of motivating and influencing more people into developing a reading culture in their lives. Your mind is not growing. Once your mind stops growing, then even your life, your business, your ministry, your prayer life, your spiritual life, it stops growing. There is someone that says that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book.